This video, I'm going to finish up going over point signs and planes. Today, we're going to focus on going over planes. The first vocabulary term here is going to be planes. What are planes? Planes are flat surfaces that extend forever in all directions. The way that we sketch them, again, you don't have to write these two parts. So the way you sketch them, you sketch using like a parallelogram. So that's like this type of shape. There's two names to name a plane. You can name it with a script letter. So for example, the word plane, and then the script M. Or you can name it using any non-collinear plane points in the plane. So here's a couple of examples. So in the green, so if you could sketch these, this is a parallelogram. So for this example, let's say we have one, let's call it A, B, C. So this would be plane, we could call it ABC, because none of those lie on the same line. So this is one example. Another example would be this one. Let's just call it plane A, or let's use a different letter. Let's use P. And this is supposed to be like a fancy P, so we could call it, this is supposed to be italicized. So we could call this plane P. Again, it would be easier to tell if there was a letter in there, but this would be naming it with the script letter P, so plane P. So sketch horizontal plane K. So when we say horizontal plane K, it just means that it's longer horizontally. So it's going to be longer this way. It's going to look like this. So we would name this plane K. And this is not a point on the plane, so we're not going to put a point. This is just plane K. A vertical plane, that's going to be taller than it is wide, so it'll be something like this. So you would make a taller parallelogram. So it looks something like that. So this is plane DFG. So we'll name it with 3 points. Remember, those points do not lie on the same line, so we'll call it D, maybe F here, and G here. So DFG. Don't worry about this one. So let's make sure we get these two copied. So horizontal plane K and vertical plane DFG. So coplanar objects are objects that lie in the same plane. So these objects could be a point, a line, a ray, a line segment. It could be anything that we previously went over the definition for. So it could be any of these things that lie in the same plane. So I just want to know, are these following points coplanar? So do they lie in the same plane? So here's A, B, C. They all lie on this top plane up here. So here we would say yes. They all lie on that blue plane. A, B, C, we already established that those are all on the same plane. But F is down here. Notice this point F does not lie on this plane up there. So here we would say no, because point F is below that plane. It's on its own plane. H, G, F, and E. So HG, so here's HG, F, and E. Well, those are all on the same plane. This is this bottom plane here. So yes, those are all on the same plane. So E, H, C, and B. So E, H, C, and B. So if we made a slice here and we slice this cube at such an angle, those would actually be on the same plane. That one's kind of a tough one. We could call that its own plane if we were to slice the cube. So you could write yes for that one because that could be its own plane. So for EH, CB, the option there should be yes. You could make it your own plane for that one. AG and F, so that one was a tough one. AG and F, so AG and F, so A, G, and F, this would be no. This would not make a plane. Those would not be objects in the same plane. Those are not on the same plane. So G and F is on this plane, but it's not, it'll never be on plane A. For a similar reason, this last one, CB, so here's C, B, and F, those would be on this plane right here that I'm highlighting in green, but H is over here. That's not on this plane. So this would be, no, those are not on the same plane. So those are not coplanar. So intersection of two figures. The intersection of two figures is where those two figures meet. So for example, if I have two lines, here's line M and here's line N. Those lines intersect at this point P. So the intersection of two lines, so I have two lines here, line M and N, there's always going to be a point. So the intersection of two lines is always a point. So this here, the intersection of those two lines is point P. The intersection of two figures, so I could have two planes intersect each other. So for example, I have plane Q is this parallelogram. So I just have two parallelograms intersecting each other. So this one and then the other one that I'm highlighting in blue. So this one, so plane Q and plane R. So those intersect right along this red line here. So they would intersect along this line K. So when planes intersect, it's a line. When lines intersect, it's a point. So planes intersect in a line and lines intersect in points. So here's a few examples. Plane D and plane E. So where do these planes intersect? So here's plane D. And here's plane E. So those are my two planes. So those intersect along this line right here. This is line A. So where does plane D intersect the line PQ? So here's, again, plane D is the red one. So here's plane D. And then here, where's line PQ? Here's line PQ. So notice it intersects PQ at this point because point P is on plane D. So it intersects at point P. So we'll say point P. Where does plane E intersect PQ? Well, it intersects here at point Q because point Q is on plane E. So we're going to say point Q. And then where does line A intersect PQ? Well, those don't intersect, so they don't intersect. There's no clear intersection shown there, so those don't intersect. So we'll just say don't intersect. So you should be able to complete the assignment in MathXL. That's called points, lines, and planes.